Hello, dear students. Welcome to EPG Pathshala. Myself, Dr. D.C. Saxena, Professor and Head of the Department of Food Engineering and Technology at Sant Longowal Institute of Engineering and Technology, Longowal. I am presenting you the technology of meat, poultry, fish and seafood products paper, wherein the module fish smoking, pickling, salting and marination will be explained to you by my co-author Mr. Narendra Kumar, who will explain you about this module.
Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Narendra Kumar Chandla from Sant Longowal Institute of Engineering and Technology. Today, I am going to talk about Module 31 of paper number 8, that is Technology of Meat, Poultry, Fish and Seafood. In this module, we will be discussing about the fish and seafood processing, which further includes smoking, pickling, salting and marination. Ancient methods of preserving fish include drying, salting, pickling and smoking. All of these techniques are still used, but the more modern technique of freezing and canning have taken on a large importance. Fish curing includes fish curries by drying, salting, smoking and pickling, or by the combination of any of the above. Fish to be cured are usually first cleaned, scalded, eviscerated. Fish are salted by packing them between the layers of salt and marinated brine. The fish most extensively salted are codfish, herring fish, mackerel fish and haddock fish. Smoking preserves fish by drying, by deposition of creosote ingredients and when the fish are near the source of heat, by the heat penetration. Herring and haddock are commonly smoked. Cold smoking techniques are required as at the lower temperatures, which are below 80° Fahrenheit for several days. Hot smoking, however, can be done at temperature of up to 250° Fahrenheit and only takes place for few hours. It is best to start with the saltwater brine. Therefore, methods used to preserve fish and fish products include the control of the temperature during the refrigeration using ice or by refrigeration or freezing, the control of water activity by drying, salting, smoking or fish drying, and the another is the physical control, which have been done by the reduction in the microbial loads through the microwave heating or by the ionizing radiations. The chemical control of the microbial loads by adding acids, by adding oxygen deprivation such as the vacuum packaging, in which oxygen is taken out and thereafter the preservation takes place. In this module, we will talk about drying, salting, salting methods, smoking, smoking methods, pre-smoking process, smoking components, pickling and marination. Fish and seafoods. Preservation of fish has been an integral part of every seafaring culture. Fish is a highly perishable food which needs proper handling and preservation. The preservation of the fish retains its nutritional value over the course of the thousands of years of drying, salting, and smoking the fish. The technique has developed to optimize the point where once common food has become a delicacy. Cold smoking requires temperature below 80 degrees Fahrenheit so that it can be stored for several days. Hot smoking, however, can be done at temperatures of up to 250 degrees Fahrenheit and only takes a few hours. Other methods used to preserve fish and fish products include the control of the temperature using ice, refrigeration, and freezing. The control of the water activity, which is the major factor which affects the microbial growth and the enzymatic growth, is controlled by the methods of drying, salting, smoking, or freeze drying. The physical control of the microbial loads through microwave heating are ionizing irradiations. The chemical control of the microwave loads may be reduced by adding acids or oxygen deprivations such as vacuum packing. Drying. As we have talked about the various methods for the preservation of the fish. So, drying is the one of the method to preserve the fish. The principal method of drying or dehydrating fish are by forced air drying, vacuum drying, or by vacuum freeze drying, which may be called as lyophilization. Each of these methods involves adding heat to aid in the removal of the water from the fish product. During the initial stage of the drying, which is known as constant rate period, water is evaporated from the surface of the product and the temperature of the product remains the same. In the final stage of the drying, this is known as falling rate period. Falling rate means the temperature of the product increases, causing water to move or to fall from the initial concentration to the final concentration, or from the interior to the surface of the product for the evaporation. Drying methods. As we have talked about drying as a preservation technique for the preservation of the fish. Here, we will talk about in detail the methods of the drying. The drying methods are air drying, which is known as contact drying, vacuum drying, and freeze drying. In case of the air drying, heat is transferred to the fish from the heated air or from a heated surface, which utilizes the air movement above the fish so as to remove the moisture away from it. In case of the vacuum drying, it has its advantage and having its application in greater evaporation rate. The drying is achieved at lower temperatures and utilizes the process of conduction by contact with heated surface or radiations to evaporate the water, which is removed by the vacuum pump. In case of the freeze drying, the process of freeze drying operates on the principle of sublimation, in which vapors evaporates or converted directly from the solid phase, that is ice. That means water is converted into ice and then ice is converted into vapors. This drying relies upon the attainment of the very low pressures by the application of vacuum pumps, which contain the fish and the fish products. Salting. Salting is the preservation of the food with dry edible salt. It is related to the pickling, that is, preparing food with brine. It is one of the oldest methods of preserving the food. Salting is used because most bacteria, fungi, and other potential pathogens, organisms cannot survive in a highly salt environment, which is due to the hypertonic nature of the salt. Any living cell in such an environment will become dehydrated through osmosis and die or become temporarily inactive. Salting is alternative to lowering the water activity of the fish flesh by reducing the availability of water. As in case of dehydration, it is to increase the concentration of the solutes so that the water activity may reduce. The preservation action is achieved by concentrating the salt so that it reaches in the flesh in the saturated form. The objective of the salting is to ensure that salt penetration is enough to meet the requirement of lowering down the water activity. On completion of the process, a saline equilibrium between the muscle and the surrounding salt is achieved, and by this method salting does its preservative action. Salting process and methods. As we have discussed salting, here we will discuss the methods in detail and the process applied. In salting process, this process depends upon fish composition and size. The salting may be dry, where the fish are stacked in the salt, and brine form is allowed to run away. Salting methods. 4 types of salting methods are employed, namely brining, pickling, quench curing, and gas curing. In the method of brining, ultimate concentration of the salt in the fish is required to be sufficient for flavoring purposes. Pickling is generally used for longer term preservation, mainly if fish is fatty, as to retard the possibility of rancidity. Quench curing is applied for white and non-fatty fish. By this process, liquid which exudes is allowed to drain away to have a longer shelf life of the dried product. In terms of the salt, types of salt we use is salt, that is brine evaporated, rock salt, and manufactured salt. In brine evaporated salt, it is prepared by the application of the heat so that to evaporate strong brines through pumps. Rock salts are mined from the underground deposits of varying purity, which ranges from 80 to 90% sodium chloride. Purified manufactured salt may contain 99.9% sodium chloride and can be derived from any one of the 3 types of salt which we have discussed. Fish smoking. As far as preservation is concerned, smoking also play an important role in the preservation of the fish. Smoking is one of the oldest preservation methods, which combines the effects of salting, drying, and smoking. Smoked fish are fish that have been cured by smoking. The major steps in the preparation of the smoked fish are salting, that is done by injecting liquid brine, a dry salt mixture, cold smoking, cooling, packaging, and storage, and subsequently heating and then consuming the product. Typically, smoking of the fish is either cold or hot. The cold process is applied at a temperature of 28 to 32 degrees centigrade, while hot process is applied in a temperature of 70 to 80 degrees centigrade. Smoke houses. As we are discussing smoking is applied by smoke houses. So smoke house is a building where fish or fish type product is cured with smoke. In traditional fishing villages, a smoke house was often attached to a fisherman's cottage. so as it can have its application at any time. The smoked products might be stored in the building, sometimes for a year or more than a year. Traditional smokehouses served both as smokers or to store the smoked fish. Smokehouses are inbuilt in the house so that we can even monitor the quality of the product. Fish could be preserved if it was cured with salt or cold smoked for 2 weeks or even longer. Smokehouses were often secured to prevent animals and thieves from accessing the food. Smoking objective. As we are talking about smoking and the methods through which we can apply the smoke, now we will talk about the smoking objectives. Smoking process is applied as a cosmetic rather than as a preservative process, so as to titillate the appetites in the form of the taste, special taste, which is being generated by the flavor which is being generated by the smoke particles. Another function of the smoking is to increase the shelf life of the fish, which is remained unsold after the manufacturing. Smoked fish is regarded as delicacies food to which consumer consumes them on a special occasions. This technology shows great potential and could be carefully managed so as to ensure the quality of the fishery produce. The preservative effect of the smoking on fishery produce is said to be a combination of the following factors. First is surface drying. In case of surface drying, a physical barrier to the passage of the microorganism and a hostile environment for any aerobic microbial proliferation is created. Second, deposition of the phenolic components, which are having their antioxidant activity, and they even delay the process of autooxidation, subsequently prevent the process of rancidity due to fats. Third is deposition of antimicrobial components, which helps in reduction in microbial load of the fish produce. Antimicrobial components, for example, are phenols, formaldehyde and nitrites. As far as the fourth process, that is salting, is concerned, the process of smoking, salting also have its interface objective as it increases the overall acceptability along with reduction in the water activity. The quality of the fish after smoking is not merely dependent upon the smoking process and the parameters, but the pre-smoking operations have significant role in achieving best results in the process of smoking. Splitting and cleaning. The fish is harvested, chilled, frozen, and then further processes are done. Fish are teared and all the pieces are gut, gill and kidney must be removed, as this spoils quickly and may spoil the other good fishes by carrying out microbial chemical reactions. As far as salting is concerned, fish may be soaked in a strong brine and permitted color may be added to the brine to impart the color during the smoking. Hanging. As the hanging is talking about, fish is hanged to drip either on the racks or in the kiln dryers. Protein dissolve in the brine to give a sticky solution. During the hanging period, thus the drying the cut surface and facilitate this for smoking process. This help in producing glossy skin of the fish. Wood and sawdust are extensively used for the generation of the smoke. As we know, in the process of smoking, our primary aim is to produce the smoke out of the wood. In case of the wood, a hotter fire with a very less smoke results cooking of the fish rather than smoking by the process. In sawdust fire, air don't get into to have the fire. So, sawdust smolders rather than burns and liberate the smoke. Higher temperature and more oxygen waste the key substances by oxidizing them to produce carbon dioxide. Modern smoke producers feed sawdust slowly onto a very hot surface so as to produce the smoke. Friction. The smoke may be generated by friction. Smoke generation by friction is a flameless process in which a wood is passed against a rotating metal wheel for the production of the smoke, while it burns due to the heat generated by the friction. A hole in the center of the wheel allows the air movement for the cooling purpose of the smoke. This smoke is channelized to the smoking chamber for the process of the smoking of meat and fish products. Smoldering. This is another method for the production of the smoke. In this method, wood shaving is used to produce heat and the shaving produce the smolder effect rather than they ignite and then produce the smoke. This smoldering results in the production of the smoke which is utilized for the purpose of the smoking. Smoke production. As we have talked about, smoke production could be done through smoke houses, but there are other methods through which we can generate the smoke. The smoke can be generated by either steam or by the liquid smoke. In case of steam, a superheated air blended with steam used as a heat source for the production of the smoke. The blended steam is passed over thin layer of wood shaving and results in the production of the wet smoke. This process having an advantage of reduced amount of wood used along with lesser emission of harmful gases to the environment. Second is liquid smoke. The purpose of the smoking is to impregnation of flavor and colors along with antioxidant and antimicrobial properties. Liquid smoke is produced by pyrolysis of hardwoods, which is followed by capturing the beneficial component of the smoke as a liquid. This is also having the advantage same like as steam process to reduce the air emission and removes the variability in the color and flavor being generated in the smoke house. Smoke components. Various smoke components are being generated in the form of acids, phenols, carbonyls, alcohols and hydrocarbons. Hardwood and sawdust are the main components for the generation of the smoke, but less of the phenolics are liberated by them. Special hardwood such as oak, hickory, cherry, apple and beech are utilized to produce a smoke with more of the phenols. The phenols further give characteristics mediated flavor to the fish produce. The hickory smoked product are more appealing in terms of characteristics than beech smoked products. The smoke vapors have their importance in flavoring, coloring and microbiostatic purposes. There are 200 components which are being identified in the vapor phase and are characterized as acids, phenols, carbonyls, alcohols and hydrocarbons as shown in the table above. They get liberated within the temperature range of 30 to 80 degrees centigrade and covers all the cold smoking process and the most of the hot smoking process. Fish pickling. As we have talked about, salting and pickling are more or less correlated with each other in terms of the processing of the fish within the salt. Pickling is an easy method of preserving the fish. Pickled fish must be stored in the refrigerator at no higher temperature than refrigerated temperature, and best flavor must be used within 4 to 6 weeks. Only a few species of fish are preserved commercially by the application of pickling, but almost any type of the fish may be pickled at home. Refrigerating the fish during all stages of the pickling process results better quality of the fish. Preserving seafoods with acid, usually vinegar, that is known as 4% acetic acid, or citrus juices, that is citric acid, is one of the earliest food preservation methods or techniques which are well known. Marination. Marination is the process of soaking foods in a seasoned, often acidic and liquid before cooking. Marinating fish adds flavor and moisture to the flesh. The origin of the word alludes to use of the brine, that is aqua marina, in the pickling process, which led to the technique of adding flavor by immersion in liquid. The liquid in the question, the marinade, can be either acidic, made with ingredients such as vinegar, lemon juice, etc., or enzymatic, made with ingredients such as pineal or papaya. The word alludes to use brine, aqua marina, in the pickling process, next to the adding flavor by immersion in the liquid. Marinating fish adds flavor and moisture to the flesh. Marinades include oil, extra virgin olive oil provides the best flavor, and an acidic ingredient like chopped tomatoes, red wine vinegar or lemon juice along with seasoning include. So students, let us now summarize what we have learned in this module. In this module, we have learned about preservation techniques, which is specific for the preservation of the fish. For example, drying, salting, smoking, pickling, and marination of the fishes. Fishing has developed this technique to preserve the fish for longer shelf life, along with the required attributes like desired flavor, color, and taste. Fish is a highly perishable food which needs proper handling and preservation if it is to have a longer shelf life and to retain a desirable quality and nutritional value of the fish and fish products. The principal method of drying fish to lower the water activity, which is the responsible factor for the all deteriorations. Salting is alternative to the lowering the water activity and applied in cognition to the process of the smoking. The oldest method is for the preparation for the fishing is smoking, which is applied for the flavor generation, color formation, and the ultimate taste of the fish and fish products. Another method of preserving seafood is with the acids. You know, vinegar, which is known as 4% acetic acid, is one of the earliest food preservation technique known as pickling has been developed. That is all about smoking, pickling, salting and marination of fish and fish products. Thank you.
Now you know what is fish smoking, pickling, salting and marination, which has well explained to you by my co-author Mr. Narendra Kumar. In continuation of this, the next module will be explained to you as fish and seafood canning and irradiation. Thank you.